our last episode, we examined Agent 26, the financial advisory agent. That system operates in a domain where risk is calculated. It is quantified through volatility scores, maximum drawdowns, and precise concentration limits. Financial risk, ultimately, is a number. The legal domain offers no such mathematical comfort. Here, risk cannot be reduced to an equation. A legal agent must evaluate risk that lives entirely within language. The exact same string of words can carry drastically different weight depending on the jurisdiction it applies to, the context of the specific case, and the hierarchical authority of the court that published it. This brings us to Agent 27, the legal intelligence agent. Sitting alongside finance in the financial and legal tier, it is a highly specialized domain agent engineered for the structural complexities of the law. Because there is no single mathematical risk score to rely on, the entire AI architecture must shift. We have to move away from numerical compliance gates and build a system based entirely on hierarchical, linguistic validation. The core vulnerability of using a standard language model for legal research is its fluent confidence. An untrained model operates like an expanding web of probabilities. If you ask it to generate a legal argument, it will string together words that sound legally plausible, regardless of whether they represent actual truth. We saw the catastrophic result of this vulnerability in the 2023 case Mata v. Avianca. An attorney tasked with researching personal injury precedent relied on ChatGPT to draft a legal brief opposing the airline. The model cheerfully generated citations that perfectly supported the attorney's argument. It cited Varghese v. China Southern Airlines, complete with specific reporter volumes and precise page numbers. But the case did not exist. The model had hallucinated the precedent entirely. Because the formatting looked correct and the tone was highly authoritative, these fabrications bypassed the attorney's skepticism. The hallucinated case law was submitted directly into a federal court filing. The discovery of the fake cases resulted in severe sanctions against the attorney. Within months, courts across the country issued standing orders requiring lawyers to personally verify the origin of all AI-generated citations. This leaves us with a difficult engineering problem. How do you build an autonomous legal research system when the core generative engine is inherently prone to lying about the law? You cannot solve this by adding a line to a system prompt. Instructing a language model to simply tell the truth fails, because the model does not know the difference between a real legal citation and a statistically probable sequence of legal-sounding words. To fix this, verification cannot be treated as an LLM behavior. It has to be a deterministic, hard control flow gate that physically blocks unverified text from ever reaching the output. The foundation of this system is authority-weighted retrieval. When a standard retrieval system searches a database, it looks for semantic similarity. But a legal database must understand the rank of the source, parsing out whether the text comes from a Supreme Court or a local magistrate. The system must prioritize binding precedent, rulings a specific court is legally forced to follow, over persuasive precedent, which might be topically relevant but carries no mandatory weight. A perfectly matched semantic search is actively dangerous if the system cannot discern whether the retrieved court actually has the authority to dictate the law. This diagram shows the complete 6-stage research pipeline, orchestrated as a LangGraph state graph. In Stage 1, issue extraction, the model decomposes the raw question into discrete legal issues. Stage 2 moves into multidimensional retrieval. The system simultaneously executes a semantic search for concepts, a citation network search for linked cases, and a factual pattern search. Stage 3 surfaces the best cases through an authority re-rank. The algorithm calculates a final score composed of semantic similarity, authority level, and recency. Stage 4 executes memo drafting. By actively generating new text to weave a coherent argument, the system becomes highly vulnerable to inventing a fake citation. To counter that vulnerability, we hit Stage 5, the citation gate. This architectural bodyguard extracts every citation string from the draft. It cross-references them against the legal knowledge base, forcing the system to prove the case exists and remains good law. If a citation cannot be perfectly verified against the database, it is flagged. The system aggressively rejects the draft, loops back to Stage 4, and forces a redraft using only verified precedent. Only a draft with a 100% verification score passes to stage 6, where the scrubbed document is handed over for human attorney review and final certification. Agent 27 succeeds not because it generates perfect text on the first try, but because it ruthlessly destroys its work if it cannot prove provenance. It is engineered to refuse. This Python script shows the actual implementation. The data must be rigorously structured during initial ingestion. The code classifies the authority level and checks the status to ensure it is good law. These become hard metadata parameters before semantic embeddings are generated. Here is the Python logic for the citation gate, executing stage 5 via a deterministic for loop. If the citation exists, it increments a verified counter. If it fails, it enters the else block, mutating the draft state to flag the unverified claim. The ultimate defense against AI hallucination isn't a larger neural network or a more clever prompt. It is traditional, deterministic Python code acting as an absolute boundary line. This strict architecture applies equally to contract review. In document ingestion pipelines, compliance gates run simultaneously at every stage to immediately reject unsafe clauses, like unlimited liability, before the language model is allowed to summarize the agreement. In the enterprise, Agent 27 scales massive contract compliance ingestion, accelerates case precedent research, and automates structured memo drafting for paralegal teams. However, there is a strict non-negotiable limitation. The system retrieves verified authority and structures draft arguments, but it performs absolutely no autonomous legal reasoning, and it does not file documents. As Supreme Court Justice Oliver Wendell Holmes Jr. noted, the life of the law relies on human experience. A licensed, named attorney must always own the final review and take professional accountability for the output. In our next episode, we step away from the stringent regulations of law and finance to enter the education and knowledge tier, exploring Agent 28, the education intelligence agent. In high-stakes domains, an AI system earns its trust not through the brilliance of its generation, but through its absolute refusal to lie.